Nancy Pelosi still doesn't understand that there is and has been a new sheriff in town. Instead, she and her deflect the blame game Socialist Democrats take zero responsibility for their actions as Washington, D.C. endures the longest government shutdown in U.S. history.
Don't you, as Speaker of the House, have an obligation to be at the negotiating table?
We have gone to, what negotiating table are we not at? The last one we went to, I think, was a setup where the president pounded as he gave himself leverage to leave the room.
Our Homeland Security professionals have asked Congress for a steel barrier between the ports of entry to fund more agents, beds, medical supplies, and technology, and to close the ridiculous and dangerous immigration loopholes that no country in the world has but us. The federal government remains shut down because congressional Democrats refuse to approve border security. We're going to have border security. It's going to be tight. It's going to be strong. We're going to let people into our country gladly, but they're going to come in legally. That includes for the farmers who need help and for others. But we are going to have powerful, strong border security.
This game of chicken made even more intense as a smug and arrogant Pelosi thought she could tell the President of the United States to take a time out on his upcoming State of the Union speech by either rescheduling or handing in his speech like a fourth-grade essay.
The date of the State of the Union is not a sacred date. It's not constitutionally required. It's not a president's birthday. It's not anything. It is a date that we agreed to. It could have been the week later.
If the president comes back to you and says, no, I want to give the State of the Union at the Capitol on the date we agreed to, what will you do then? Will you allow it to go forward?
We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. These workers make a difference in the lives of the American people, including security officials who would be protecting the president at the State of the Union address. As I've said to some of you, this is defined by the Secretary of Homeland Security as a national special security event. It means it's elevated to a place where the resources of the government are used to protect that event and all that that implies in terms of security.
But Pelosi and company were quickly reminded of who they were dealing with, as they had scheduled yet another trip to globetrot while the shutdown lingers, this time going to Egypt, Afghanistan, and the globalist stronghold in Brussels. President Trump postponed their trip, writing, "Dear Madam Speaker, due to the shutdown, I'm sorry to inform you that your trip to Brussels, Egypt, and Afghanistan has been postponed. I also feel that during this period it would be better if you were in Washington negotiating with me and joining the strong border security movement to end the shutdown. Obviously, if you would like to make your journey by flying commercial, that would certainly be your prerogative. Sincerely, Donald Trump." And I can imagine that the last thing the troops in Afghanistan want to see is the Democrats.
Let's have a good time.
When I took office, you know it better than anybody in the world, our military was very tired. It was very depleted. I won't even tell you the things that some of our great generals were telling me. And now it's being rebuilt at a rapid rate, and very shortly will be more powerful than ever before. And that's the way it has to be.
Of course, the Democrats took a nice trip around the block on a bus before they were fully informed that they weren't going anywhere on the taxpayers' dime. Representative Adam Schiff complained that President Trump canceled their trip, while the president still had a trip scheduled for the globalist confab at Davos. So President Trump canceled that too, so they could all focus on the national security crisis they continue to ignore. A crisis whether the Democrats want to admit it or not.
We don't have a border crisis. We don't have terrorists streaming across the border like the president is suggesting. The wall is not only immoral, it's ineffective. I mean, it's ridiculous.
And in pure Trump card fashion, in the end, the only one to leave D.C. on a government plane was our First Lady Melania, heading down to Mar-a-Lago for some peace and quiet from the monotonous congressional nightmare that still won't secure our borders. John Bound reporting.